Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our Wednesday afternoon call. It's April 23rd. We're moving right along. There's a lot of new and great things happening. And every week we try to have something different, something that will be beneficial to all of you. And if it's not for you at that particular time, you can still take notes and keep it for the time when you do need it. And today we're going to have a special presentation by Debbie Seese, and it's going to be on encouragement to train your mind, which sounds quite unique, and I'm anxious to get to see what she has to say. So take it away, please, Debbie, and thank you very much for participating.
You're very welcome. First of all, Don, I just want to thank you for being our fearless leader. You did an awesome job last night on our call, and it's always good to hear your background story as to how you got started with Triple R, and we just appreciate you. So I wanted to tell you that.
Thank you so much.
um, Rory talks a lot about MCRC, manifest it, claim it, receive it, and celebrate it. And I know that sometimes when I think about the word manifest, it doesn't always have a positive connotation in my mind, just that one word, because of some of my own beliefs and stuff. But there are other words that I try to substitute instead of the word manifest, and I usually try to think of visualize and envision and kind of more along that line when I think about it. When I get into a little bit of a slump sometimes, or I have been taken away from my business for a little while and need to get concentrated and focused back on it, once in a while I will go to listen to a couple of podcasts from a gentleman that I've been following for a while, and that's Ed Milet. If you have ever heard of Ed, you will know what an awesome encourager and coach and leader he is. And I had just listened to when I said that I would do this meeting today. I had just listened to a couple of his podcasts. I had hit a point where I just was being pulled away day after day after day, and it was a struggle to get back to my laptop to do work. And so I listened to one of his podcasts to get my mindset back into focusing on where I wanted to be. So this one was so powerful that I thought that I would share it with you. He is a global speaker and leader and coach, well known around the world, has coached famous name people in all areas, sports and politics, and just a little bit of everything. He is a man of faith, and he very often brings that into his teaching. He has written a couple of very powerful books, and one of them is called The Power of One More, Ed Milet there. And he will talk a little bit about this, but I think I was going to share two with you, two podcasts. I'm going to cut it down to one, Tom, because of our time today. But I have a Google Doc to share with you afterwards, and I have listed the link for the other one that I'm going to hold off on, and you guys can take a few minutes to listen to that. Neither one of them are very long. So let me take you there now, and let me share my screen here. Oops. Got to do this first. I got to share, right? First.
Share
Okay.
with sound.
Yeah.
Share with sound. Oh, I'm getting too many. Participate, share at a time, multiple. Can share multiple. I just hit share. Is that all I need to do?
You want to hit share with sound. If you don't, then we won't hear the video.
Multiple participants can share.
It's over on the right
Okay, let me
somewhere, a little
see.
box.
Host only, all participants, host only. I am not seeing share with sound. When I did this last time, it popped up okay.
Hit share, it'll then pop up with another window. You then choose what you want to share, and then on the right hand side, there's a little check
Share
box.
sound.
Yep.
Thank you.
There you go.
Just found it. Okay. So let me share.
And it's best if you do share a display, because then they'll do the whole screen, and then whatever's on it, that's what it'll share.
Okay. Let me see if this will go now. Okay, let me hop up here. Okay, are you seeing this?
Yep. Yes, we are.
Okay, that's the one that I am not going to share with you today.
If you're turning
I love Jim
65
Quick.
and beyond, you're going to want to.
Okay, and this one is, there is a little bit of advertisement in this, so let me get
There are a
past
lot of
here.
people today that are Medicare eligible that are.
I want to recommend a place for you to go called Growth Day. Growthday.com
This is his ad too.
/ed. It is the #1 personal development app on the planet. It's got all kinds of high performance techniques in there, courses, accountability,
Get past this,
journaling,
guys.
live speeches from some of the top influencers in the world, including me. It's an overall environment to change your life. Growthday.com /ed. Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm excited to spend some time with you today covering something that you all ask about often, which is the topic of visualization. And I think it's a topic that most people don't
Make it a little
understand or
louder.
they take advantage of. One of the key strategies in my entire life of producing the results that I've been blessed to produce has a lot to do. One of the key strategies is visualization, mental rehearsal, and understanding how to do it, understanding the power of it, and the reasons why you should be doing more mental rehearsal, more visualization. You know, I'm blessed that I've had an opportunity to coach a lot of top CEOs, entrepreneurs, entertainers, and yes, a lot of athletes. And whether that be in the UFC, in the MMA, or a golfer, baseball player, I get asked often, what do you work on with a lot of these athletes? And although we work on a variety of different things, one of them is visualization, because it's really an accepted practice in sports that you visualize things. But most people, you can ask yourself this to begin, how much visualization do you do in a directed, intentional way? In other words, you're visualizing things, your problems, your worries, your fears, you're visualizing an appointment, let's just say. But how often are you doing that proactively? Are you using it as a strategy for peak performance, a strategy for bliss, a strategy to be more productive and serve more people? Mental rehearsal and visualization is one of the greatest gifts you could give yourself, and it's a great hack to producing the results that you want. Because the truth of the matter is, you are more than likely producing right now what you've already been visualizing. And so taking control of that and harnessing control of it is a really, really big deal. And why? Because we all have fears. We all have insecurities. These fears and insecurities will find a way to express themselves one way or the other. And so if we can't take control of our fears and our insecurities, and we don't build up mental rehearsal and visualization of the things we want, the things that give us confidence, one or the other are going to end up expressing themselves. That's why it's so important that you really learn to take control of your mental rehearsal and visualization. And why is that the case? Here's the deal. You move towards what you're most familiar with in your life, okay? So there's a degree of familiarity in our lives that we move towards what's comfortable, what's safe, what's most familiar to us, because it requires the least amount of thinking. Your brain really wants to operate and conserve energy as much as it can. So the more things it can do habitually without having to think, the easier it is on your brain. And so it's constantly trying to get you to move towards what's familiar. And so if what's most familiar to you is your fears, your worries, your anxieties, your insecurities, you will move towards them. If you wonder whether that's accurate or not, we try to avoid things that are unfamiliar to us. People have asked me, oh my gosh, I saw that golfer, he had a putt to win the golf tournament from 5 feet, and he missed it. And he missed it for 2 reasons. Either he was very familiar with the mental rehearsal and the visualization he or she was of missing, and they programmed that fear in, so they moved towards what was familiar, and which was missing the putt. Or they didn't do any mental rehearsal whatsoever, and when they got into that pressure situation, their brain was not familiar with that environment, with that situation, and so it wasn't able to function at its optimal level. And so the reason that we want to make sure that we're doing mental rehearsal and visualization regularly in our life is so that when we get there, we're familiar and we're likely to move towards that result we've already visualized. If we don't, if we only take visualization about our fears and worries, which is what most people do, you will move towards those because you're familiar with them as well. Or the absence of any preparation, when you walk into a meeting to give a presentation, you've not mentally rehearsed the result. You've not visualized the result. If you've not done that, you've left it up to your own devices, and more than likely, because you're unfamiliar, your brain cannot perform at its optimal level. So that's why mental rehearsal, preparation, because your body doesn't know, your subconscious mind does not know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. And so the more you rehearse it, The more your brain believes, your mind believes that you've already done it, you've already accomplished it. So when you enter the environment, you enter the situation, you will gravitate and move towards what's most familiar. So hey guys, are you looking for more optimization in your life? If you are, try Bond Charge. Bond Charge is a holistic wellness brand, huge range of evidence-based products that help you get more energy, perform better, recover faster. I love their infrared sauna blanket. It's what I've been using now for a while when I hurt my back. It's the perfect way to detoxify, reduce stress, improve your overall well-being. It's also very easy to use. You just set it up in like a minute. You can enjoy. Go to Bond.
Saving money feels
Oh,
right.
guys, I'm
Just
sorry.
like when
Okay, let me get us back here. Oh, poo. Okay, hang on a minute.
I was going to say, while we're looking at that, it reminded me of a quote that I've known for a long, long time. It's what your brain can conceive, your body can do.
Reduce stress, improve your overall well-being. It's
Thank you.
also very easy to use. You just set it up in like a minute. You can
I'm trying to get
go to bondcharge.com and use coupon code ED to save 15%. That's BONCHARGE.com and use coupon code ED to save 15%. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition. Think about it this way. How much thinking do you do when you walk into a room full of strangers? Right? You walk in, you don't know anybody in there. You're pulling up to an event and you don't know a soul. You're going to walk into a room with 50 or 100 people. You're doing some thinking, aren't you? You're thinking about, how would I introduce myself? Is my hair the right way? Did I do my makeup correctly? What's a story that I could tell tonight that's funny? What if they ask me this? Your anxiety and nervousness level goes up no matter who you are, right? Because of the unknown, the unfamiliar. And so what happens is you just start thinking and going into pattern mode. You're going into mapping mode because where you're going is unfamiliar. Now compare how much thinking you do when you walk into a room like that compared to just walking through your front door to your house where everybody's familiar. Do you really even have to think about it? When you walk from your kitchen to the living room where your family is, do you do any thinking whatsoever? Does your heart rate go up at all? Is there anything in your body that's changing from a neurobiochemistry standpoint? No, you're almost doing zero thinking because you're familiar with it. And so in life, if you can begin to become that familiar like you are with your own family and friends, with your dreams, your goals, and your ambitions, or maybe it's as simple as just a specific result in one occasion. The more you've done that, the more you're not going to have to think nearly as much and process information. This is really called mapping. And so life is really better when you don't focus on what's going on around you, but you focus on what's going on inside of you. Okay, so think about that for a second. Life is always better when you don't focus on what's going on around you, but you focus on what's going on inside of you. So there's this great story that my producer was sharing with me. He's a big soccer fan, about Wayne Rooney, who's one of the most legendary players of all time. And he said he would take his visualization to a level that blew most people's minds. And he would literally get with the equipment manager before a game and ask him, what uniform are we going to be wearing? And so he would get the actual uniform and know what it looked like. He would also want to know what music they were going to be playing when they came out, when they're getting ready to play. He would want to know the exact song. And then he would also want to know the weather. So he would then get back and the night before the games would visualize that uniform, would visualize that music playing, would visualize that weather, so that when he got there, it was all familiar to him. You know, a lot of athletes and people ask me, should I only visualize me getting the yes? Because I'm mapping, making the putt, making the putt, making the putt, or hitting the shot, or having the knockout, or closing the sale, or, you know, getting whatever it is that you want. Should I only visualize the positive things? And that's a really interesting thing, because the way your brain works, it actually probably serves you most to be always visualizing the positive result. I do think that it's okay sometimes in life to also visualize something that isn't favorable. So in other words, because it's going to happen. So do I let my athletes, about 10% of the time, I will say, okay, let's hit a bad shot. We've hit a bad shot. What happens in our body? Now we're walking to that shot. How do we deal with it? And so they now are able to deal with something that's inevitable. Or if it's one of our fighters And I go, listen, you just had the first, it's bad round. He got to you. You took a couple shots. Looks like you lost round one. You're sitting on the stool. Bam. How do we shift that and visualize from there? Because if you don't visualize some of the unforeseen circumstances that take place and your response to it, in my opinion, when that happens and it's unfamiliar territory, you're lost. But if you say, no, I've been there before. I've missed this putt before. I've missed a shot before. In sales, it's okay to visualize them not always saying yes, but objecting and giving you a reason for not doing it. They may have a question or a concern, right? So I don't think it's a negative thing sometimes. I don't want to pattern this where it's a pattern I've created, but I think it's okay to, in sales, visualize getting a no or an objection, or in a sport, having a failure happen. And then from there, what you need to visualize so that when the inevitable happens, because life happens, you're going to miss a sale. You're going to not hit every putt. Not every at bat's going to be a base hit, right? Not every shot's going to be in the basket. And so it's okay to say, okay, I just missed the shot. What do I visualize from there? So we're not really visualizing the miss. We're visualizing it's happened, what feels in my body. I know what that is. Now, what do I do? And so, because you'll watch in sports, most of the great athletes, it's not that they don't miss. It's what they do after they miss. It's not in life whether you're going to miss or get rejected or have a difficult circumstance or situation. It's what do you do when it happens? And so I think it's okay that you spend a little bit of time in that zone, and then your visualization is your way out of there. So we're not visualizing misses. What I'm suggesting is that you're visualizing, okay, I've just missed. Now visualize the way out. Mentally rehearse the way out. I think you can spend a little bit of time on that, just like the great Wayne Rooney did. I'll tell you one more story, and I don't know whether this is accurate or not. I don't remember the man's name, and I'm sure I'm messing the story up, so forgive me. But I think the premise of the story and the point that it illustrates is valid. And so the story goes, I was told this many years ago, that there was evidently a soldier who had spent some time in a POW camp. And when he was there, in order to keep himself sane, frankly, he would mentally rehearse and visualize himself playing an entire 18-hole golf course round of golf. And again, this is just a story that I was told.
So you're already using ChatGPT, and while that's awesome, there is one little problem. You're not making any...
I hope I'm giving it justice. And the point of the story is that it illustrates the power of visualization. And even if I'm off by the facts a little bit, indulge me a little bit here. But he would visualize playing each shot throughout the day, mentally rehearse and visualize it. And many years later, when he got out of the POW camp, he went home. I believe it was to Texas, somewhere in the Midwest, and his body was totally atrophied. He had no muscle mass left. He had lost considerable weight. He had been obviously hurt and injured and beaten when he was in the camp. And one of the first things he asked to do when he got on his feet was to go play golf. And the story goes that he went out in that first round of golf, shot even par. And afterwards, they asked him, how in the world did you do that? You've lost 50 pounds. You've had all these injuries. You've had this terrible mental battle you've had to go through. And he goes, it's easy. I haven't missed a putt in 4 years. Because what he had done is mentally rehearsed when he was playing those rounds, making that putt, hitting that shot. Now, whether or not that's an accurate story or not, I don't know. But what I can tell you is that it's illustrative that I've seen something like that in many athletes and many business people's lives, where in spite of external circumstances, they've controlled the inside so well that when they, like I've said, they focus on the inside, that when these variables happen, which is life, a failure, a setback, an unforeseen situation, that they're comfortable because they haven't missed a putt in years when they visualize their way out of that. And so inside of you, you can visualize. So give yourself the gift on a more regular basis of mentally rehearsing the meeting you're going to go to. Do it 3, 4, 5, 6 times and actually sit in that visualization. Ask yourself questions when you visualize, by the way. The way you get better at it is you do more of it. In the beginning, when we're visualizing or mentally rehearsing, we're not very good at it because we haven't done it before. We get distracted easily, or we don't even realize, we don't even take control of what we're seeing. But begin to ask yourself, when I visualize, do I see it in black or white or color? I mean, make some distinctions about what you're seeing. Can I feel things? Do I smell things? Do I hear things? Can I take this picture that I'm seeing, this result I want to produce, this award I want to win, this, this situation I want to get out of a date that I'm going on, this, potential sale that I've got, this baseball I want to hit, this putter. When you watch it, start to ask yourself and take a look at what you're seeing. Like, for example, where's the camera? That'd be interesting, huh? Do you see the camera where you're looking at it out there? So you see it from your own perspective? Or do you see it from the person's situation who's watching you? Do you see it from above? Just taking it into it, and you go, wow, I never thought about that before. Well, think about it. It'll help you take better control. When I work with athletes, when they're baseball hitters, I'll often ask them, I'll say, close your eyes and visualize, hit a line drive up the middle. And they'll go, great, I did it. And they'll open their eyes. I go, okay, good. Where was the camera? And they're like, huh? I said, where was the camera? I don't know. I said, well, let's close your eyes and do it again. I said, the camera could be a lot of different places. The camera could be you in the batter's box and you're seeing out at the pitcher in the field. It could be like you watch baseball on TV because you're familiar with it. And it's behind the center field fence looking over the pitcher into the catcher. It could even be the view you get on deck. But the first thing is to at least see what you see. Now you have a chance to play the video. And so I'll ask them, can you see what you see? Yes, okay. And they say, well, nope, it's for me in the batter's box. Awesome. So then we know, and we go much more detail than this. But it's beginning to just see what you see, hear what you hear or don't hear, smell what you smell or don't smell, right? For the most part, most people can very quickly go, I see things in black and white, or I see them in color, and then just start to take control of what it looks like. And then the only other thing to ask yourself, if you want to really reinforce a visualization, is you could speed it up a little bit, or you could slow it down. You could zoom in if you wanted to. And the more you just kind of play with your ability to visualize, the more it becomes a muscle. Zoom in, zoom out, change the color, add some music to it, right? Speed it up, slow it down, and then just repeatedly see something over and over again. It'll serve you. And so it's something that I teach the athletes that I do. It's not very complicated. It's just basically starting to take control of your mind's eye, of what you think about. You don't have to be very specific with it. It could just be the same thing you see every time. But the more you prepare, you will begin to move towards what you're most familiar with. And what's great about that is anxiety level goes down. And your brain, your subconscious mind, it doesn't know the difference between what you're imagining and what's actually happening. And so you actually can get a hit every time you're up to the plate. You can make a putt every single time you stand over it. You can get a yes. And the more specific, when you start with a visualization, oftentimes in the beginning, they'll be very general, but the more you get good at it, maybe it gets more specific, where you can even see when you've helped somebody out in your business, them thanking you and the smile on their face. Maybe you can begin to feel what it feels like with their gratitude, right? I'll have athletes often, I'll say, did you make the putt? How did it feel? Fist pump that thing, lock it in, right? So the more you do it, the more it grows as something you build as a habit. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. But I'm telling you, life is a whole lot better when you focus on what's going on inside of you as opposed to what's going on around you. And the more we just get internal, we begin to, take some measure of control over the mental images we're feeding ourselves, the more we can produce a result that's in congruence with our goals. So I hope today helped you. I want to challenge you just to begin to do a little bit more visualization, just the concept of it, a little bit more mental rehearsal, and begin to train yourself to produce the results that you want in your life as you move towards the thing you're most familiar with, which is what you want instead of what you don't want. All right, everybody, God bless you. Max out.
Okay. Did that hit home with anybody?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here we go. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
That was
absolutely
awesome.
fantastic. Should write this down instead of.
There we go. Okay, now can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Did that hit home with any of you?
Yeah, that was fantastic. He said his name was Ed Milet.
Mylett, Mylett. And I've got a document I'll share with you here in the chat in just a minute. But there were so many pieces and parts to that I could relate to. I could relate to Tanya teaching us to goal set. Okay. When you goal set, do you really see your goals, or are they just wishes and hopes and dreams? Or are they something that you can really sink your teeth into that you want to get to? I related a lot to V marketing. A lot of times it's like, oh, am I going to say the right thing? And I hope they don't answer. Or, I'm looking at the clock and I'm saying, oh, if this is going to go into a BRT, I don't know if I'm going to have time to get to my next meeting or go pick up the kids from school or whatever. Sometimes we tend to set our own boundaries that we don't allow ourselves to reach beyond is kind of where I saw some of this. And if we visualize us being successful, yes, and I know we hear other people that train on V marketing and stuff. Yes, Dina, for one, yes, this person's going to answer. Yes, I'm going to make the sale. But then I thought his take was really interesting on the negative end. What if they say no? Or what if they say, this is a scam? I don't believe it. I've heard that many times. Are we prepared? It's okay if they do, but we need to not freeze up and say, I don't know what to say now. You know, we need to be prepared. We've been given tools that are very simple and very easy, and to just kind of have those little notes off to the side, or to just, you know, to focus on the positive and not the negative. And I think if we do that and kind of prepare our minds that, yes, today I'm going to be successful. Yes, I'm going to get this page finished today. And I am going to work in some advertising hours into my day, which tends to be my problem. I have a hard time getting to the advertising part of it. But I just thought there were so many really good points that Ed brought up. So any thoughts for any
I
of you?
have to agree with you, Debbie, and listening to what you just said, I realized that everybody here was listening to the same thing, but we're having our own perceptive input from it. From
Exactly.
my standpoint, there's a couple things that struck me is in reference to the BRT, and he's saying visualize it. I do a couple different things. First of all, as soon as I hear the voice, that number one gives me a vision of a person I'm talking to. And like he said, you want to vision your actions. So I'm talking to the person, I'm looking at them, even though I'm just talking to them on the phone, you know what I'm saying? And so I come across that way. Another one is if I hear them or say a recording, my whole concept of who that person is, if they didn't answer the phone, they have a recording, then all of a sudden I try to visualize what that person looks like.
Mhm.
And then number three, when it comes to the email, some of them have their pictures on there. And then I say, I have a whole different feeling of how to approach them if I was to talk to them. And then the other thing is by their name and calling them if one person's name is Sylvia or Bianca or, some type of name I can vision, or Mary. You know, when I hear a Mary, and this is just me, folks, I just, because there was one yesterday, her name was Mary anyway, but I vision an older person, okay? If something was, if another person was named like Karen, I vision a younger person, a middle-aged person. And it goes to the period of when people were born, too, how many names were given to the same amount of people. Like Tom, I mean back in the 40s, so then that sets me up to how I talk to them. Sometimes I talk, if they say, "This is Mary, please leave us, your name and something." And then when I do my spiel, it's always the same thing, but I say it softly and I inflectuate like I'm here to help you and let's get together, see what we can do. And then if there's a guy, John, hello, leave a message. I'm not here right now. I say, okay, John, this is Tom calling. We recently inquired, but you know what I'm saying? And that directs my whole presentation. So there's a whole bunch of different personalities that come through for me. I don't know how you folks feel about that, but
That,
that's what he's saying.
yeah, absolutely. So when you're doing your BRTs, you want to match their tempo, their momentum, right? So if they're really excited, you want to match that. That's like an action person. But if they're kind of more mellow, you want to match that as well. Because if you can essentially speak in their language, you're gonna make a whole lot more sales. And that's what
Yeah, you
one way
mimic
you get
them.
by matching their tempo or their tone of voice, right? By matching that, you're gonna speak in their code and make more sales.
Yeah. And the other thing I picked up about that, we should probably have a session mocked BRT and everybody can just join in here on Wednesday afternoon and pretend somebody is just two people, saying, doing a BRT and come up with something that we have to give an answer to. Now, anybody's answer could be correct and everybody's answer could be correct. It's just, I think it would be something that we could do in exchange uh, our knowledge that way. What do you think about that? From what he said,
I think that's a great
practice,
idea.
visualize, right?
I would also like to encourage people to attend the BRTs on Mondays. Our team is supposed to be there, and we've had very few people participating. And the V marketing on Thursdays, where we do role playing for BRTs as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's a great idea. Maybe if we start here, we'll get more participation on Mondays and Thursdays where they should be attending.
Yeah, well, this way it can also give them ideas instead of just listening to one person give an answer. Here, we can have two or three people giving different answers to the same question so that they would have an arsenal. You would write it down and keep it in front of you. So, question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. Even if it's the same question, you can give yourself two or three or four different answers by what we can present here. That's what
And they
I'm
can add
feeling.
that to their sheet that,
Yeah.
that Rebecca showed them how to create
Right.
as
The
well.
the other thing that I wanted to add to this too is that the one thing I know I periodically have to remind myself about is that with V marketing especially, we get a lot more no's than we get yeses. And a lot more don't answer the phones, than we get yeses, or people that want to talk and ask questions. And I think it's important to remind ourselves that if they say no, they're not saying no to me. They're not turning me down. They're turning the opportunity down. So to not take it personally, and to say that's fine, send them text 3 or whatever we're going to do, the other information and move on. But it's sometimes, especially if they're nasty, and I've had some nasty ones, and I'm thinking, look, do you really have to talk like that to somebody you don't even know? Just remind yourself, it's not you, it's not you, it's not you. Okay. And let it roll off your shoulders and move on to the next nice person.
Very good point.
Yeah.
You may have to go into the triple R, before you move on to the next one. But
That's
yeah,
right.
that's what you want to do. Sit
Yeah.
back, relax, and refocus. I don't know. Everybody's going through that. And if you haven't done that yet, don't be surprised. I mean, everybody is different and just expect the unexpected. Where'd we hear that before?
Yeah, but all in all, it's the mentally being prepared, and I know when I first started doing V marketing, especially, I would go to have everything all set up, my script in front of me, the whole thing, and I would hesitate to push the call button to let the call start because I go, and I would have to take a deep breath, calm my heart, and say, you know what, it's whatever happens, I'm still the expert in the room here. So now I just push it and I just take it as it comes. So
Love it. That's the most important thing to remember.
yeah,
You've got to believe in yourself.
you have
And
to
you
believe.
are the expert in the room. And they'll never know if you make a mistake. You can just change it the next time.
That's right. That's right. Kirby, you got a comment or a question or something?
Well, I did about the Monday meeting. Is that also at 10 Central? Donna?
That is from 3 to 5 Eastern time.
And that's the only meeting on Monday?
That's the only BRT meeting. The BRTs actually, that's our team meeting on Mondays. There's BRTs all week long, but you can't ask questions in the other ones.
You can ask
And then,
questions on ours, which is right after yours, Donna, on Mondays. But
okay,
other
that's
than I
good.
think our two groups, no one else lets you unmute and
No,
ask.
they don't. And so it's a comfort zone too. You'll be able to learn a lot more and you'll get a lot of help if you attend them. Plus it builds your confidence just by listening to other people do it over and over again.
Exactly. And you get the love from the family before you go out and do it without that, having that, you know, we share, we teach, we give good feedback and it's all out of love.
And some of these principles too can go for when you're writing a page. I mean, a lot of people I've heard say, I don't know how to write. And, what have I got to say that somebody else wants to read? Well, we each have important voices that come just from us that nobody can duplicate. So have confidence, take some of the points that Ed has spoken about, have the confidence in your head that what you have to say is going to be important to somebody, even if it's just one person that reads that page. They're going to hear a message that you're trying to portray. So, have confidence in yourself and go for it. Just write down what comes to your mind, and just know that it's going to reach somebody out there.
And Deb, that's another excellent point because even though we all use the same template, it's really important to put your own personality into it because what happens is that you tend to draw a following of people who have the same likes and dislikes that you do. And that making yours distinctively yours with your personality and your experiences, it's what going to draw people into your website, keep coming back. So that is really, really important.
Yeah, that short clip had a lot to offer.
Really did. And that's the way a lot of his podcasts are. He is a man also who continually works on himself. So when he comes up with things that work for him, he, does a podcast, interviews other people that are going through the same thing. A lot of what we've heard Rory say that he goes off once a year to some of his mentors, that's what Ed does as well. And there is a power in that, in learning. No matter how popular or how good you are, we can always be learning from somebody else. So and that's one thing I appreciate about him as well. And some of what he says reminds me a lot of Rory. So he's been personal friends with Jim Rohn. He was personal friends with a couple of the other big names that we know. They're not
Zig
coming to me
Ziglar,
right now.
Ziggy.
Yes.
Tony
Mhm.
Robbins.
Tony Robbins. He and Tony Robbins are very close. Yes. So you get a little bit when you listen to somebody like that, you get a little bit of all those other guys as well.
Yeah, it's not an actual preaching, it's just
No.
talking. And that's what you want to do when you're on a BRT is just talk, don't try to, preach something or, sell, you're not selling. It's just giving them an opportunity to make an intelligent decision based on what they hear.
Mhm.
It's not for everybody, so you're not going to get 100% out of it, but you just want to give them the main points to let them know. And I just tell them, there's a million people that we want to help to be financially independent, and we can't do it all by ourselves. So we're reaching out like you and I are talking one on one on to help you, and eventually you'll help other people too. And that way we can reach all those people. And there's no saying what you don't know. And we're just trying to help everybody as more, a lot of people as possible to know that this is an opportunity that exists. So it's just doing them a favor, helping them out. People aren't used to people helping them, so they're going to resist. So you just have to, it's the way you come across, like you're saying, Debbie, and your tone of voice and everything. You want to come across, as a friend, giving them an opportunity that they didn't know about. If they want
You're
it,
presenting
fine.
presenting an option. You know, we don't have to take an option, but boy, you're missing a good opportunity if you don't. But you know, that's their choice.
Mhm.
So we just present what we have.
Yeah, you don't want to force it. Any other questions? Anybody or comments, inputs? How was it for you, Quasim? Did you enjoy that? You can just shake your head yes if you want. There you go. Good to see you here today.
Good to see you too, Tom. It was good. About especially about the visualization and and working hard towards your craft. That's very important. And I'm happy to say that I finally started the business. Um, and
Mhm.
I had customers go to my offer pages, the Bella Vita, but the only issue that I had was is when the customers was going to my websites, they was hovering around the category pages, and one lady asked me what free stuff are you giving? So I wanted to ask, if is it a way where I could just advertise the Bella Vita pages separately with the link, or do I have to advertise the PBS categories with the Bella Vita?
Well, when you advertise, and remember, you're only advertising one product at a time.
Right.
So if
But
you have a Velveeta product, yes, and then the link that you put in your advertising goes to that web page, that your web page that has that product.
yes, that's what I did. I advertised the ageless beauty page, right?
Yeah.
But when I had one of the customers go to my ageless beauty page, they went to the category pages on the left hand side, and they was looking through things,
hmm
and it kind of threw my customers off.
And they saw the
That's
free
ex-
stuff.
Yes, they seen free stuff, and they asked me, "Oh, what do I have for free?" But I didn't modify none of those pages yet.
Yeah. Well, we need to go over that. But to answer that question, you have SHG that has a free site, and you can, if you have to, you can tell them that's available, and you want to give them your free SHG site
Okay.
but
link. You know.
Quasi, that's exactly what you want to have happen, though. It's a lot like, do you remember the marketing story that Rory tells? You know, it's like a person going to Walmart for a loaf of bread and coming out with a whole basket full of stuff. That's exactly why it was designed that way, is to have that happen. So when they come in, they read about whatever it was that caught their eye, right? Whatever uh,
hmm
advertisement caught their eye, but out of the corner of their eye, they're going to see that long list of category. And research has proven that they will click between 7 and 11 times throughout those categories to see what else they could be interested in. You
Right.
want that to happen.
And
Because
that's
That
why it's
that's
in
a
your best interest to modify those pages
yeah,
ASAP.
because I modified my Velveeta pages. I finished with the vitamin page, but it was still certain things like the free stuff, and I modified the frequency page with the clothing and frequency. I modified that page already, but with the free stuff, and then the lady was talking about, because when she went to my category pages, she said I ran across the Bitcoin page, and I didn't I didn't modify the page yet.
hmm Yeah. Bitcoin that's kind of hard and it's more or less going not as important as your Velveeta pages and the SHGs.
So do I
So you
delete
do the
that too?
ones that you know are popular,
Okay. So do I delete the Bitcoin page, or do I
Don't delete.
you can
Never
always go
delete.
back to that.
okay. Okay.
just remember to follow the order that they are given on the master training page.
Okay.
You should be following that exactly and do that in that order specifically.
That's the triple R247.com/master
Yes.
link. Remember, you have your guide, folks. You have that rr247.com/RRR, which I tell everybody that's your Bible for this business to concentrate on that. And then beside that, have the tab up for rr247.com/master, and those go hand in hand. So you want to always keep that up on your tab so you know where they are, and you just keep referring to them. Go down a little bit at a time until you totally understand what it's all about. And when you don't understand, contact your instructor. Are you raising your hand again, Crossing?
Yes, it's another question. So the different category pages, when I was looking through the category pages, some of those category pages it had Roy links. Do I uh save those links or do I uh delete? I don't know.
Okay. Well, we need to get together, Crossing,
Okay.
and go over it again. I think it's about time. So we have to arrange something, but you're working all the time. It's making it harder for me to contact you.
Right, I know it's difficult, I try to get together with you, Tom,
Yeah.
but it's just my schedule is just a crazy schedule.
Yeah. So you had legitimate questions. It's only if you were able to be on more of the training calls, you would know answers. And if you were able to get in touch with me, because you're busy, I'm busy, so we have to schedule time that we're both available to talk to each other.
Right, but I'm excited because I tried the product. The product is very good. Like I like the chocolate mint. I'm really hooked on the chocolate mint. It's really
Yeah,
good.
that's my favorite too. Don't forget the V-fill, Quasim. I was going to tell you about that.
Okay.
You want to join that V-fill. That way you'll get it automatically every month. And you can
Okay.
change the products if you want. We just done a segue here, Debbie. Apologize for that.
Okay.
But
Really, what the VFill does really is it prevents your account from going inactive. That's really what it's for, right? Because my VFill is not due until like May of next year because I do manual orders all the time. But that means that before it goes inactive, it's gonna order a VFill.
and you don't want to be inactive.
Right, and so that's why the VFill is there. Right.
Go
And on
ahead.
that subject, for our newer people, if you are not in Velveeta yet, hang on till May 5th. Make sure you're on that call because there will, I bet my life there's going to be fabulous offers on that day to get into Velveeta.
And
So,
if you're in Velveeta, be prepared for some other fantastic offers. They're
yeah,
always
check how you can grab some extra money on a credit card or something because be prepared because it's definitely worth it. You will
I mean,
get your money back.
and like I would actually say, if you need to order, if you can wait, if you can wait until May 5th. If you need to order now, that's fine. Order a box or whatever. But if you can wait until May 5th, wait until May 5th.
Yeah. And on that note, I'm going to stop the recording, folks. And then again, I appreciate everybody comment. Definitely Debbie Seese for giving us all that wealth of information that made the other half hour go by quickly, which we appreciate. More food for thought. And that's what this is all about. Anytime you come here, just to keep a notepad with you and write down things, even though most of the time, not 100% of the time, it's being recorded. And we look forward to seeing you next week, everybody. Thank you.